Hello there. Welcome to my campfire. My name is Seraphine, the Midnight Bard, and I travel from place to place, seeking the strange, the bizarre, and the unexplained. There are forces operating in our world that we cannot see. Hands that guide people to do good or push us to give in to our basest desires. Their existence would by and large be unknown to all, if not for the littlest hints of their presence. The feeling of being watched, the shadows out of the corner of your eye, the voice that you could have sworn just called your name. It's all in your head, right? Or is it possible that something unseen and otherworldly is in your presence? Tonight, we will hear two tales of those whose lives were intruded upon by supernatural entities. Join me as we hear Wary and My Guardian Angel Appeared on My 18th Birthday. Animals had been wary of my son ever since his birth. Our dog Fern had to be sent away to live with my sister since she wouldn't stop barking at my child. I thought that it had just been a temporary stage of getting to know a new person in the household, but the way Fern growled whenever my baby was in the room indicated that she was ready for a violent act. It felt like abandonment when I handed Fern's leash to my sister, and my heart broke when the pup kept looking back at me with questioning eyes as they walked away. My sister promised to update me and send me pics and videos of Fern, but that did not deter the sadness that wrecked my chest. I allowed myself to mourn when I got back to my vehicle. The tears came in floods when I thought about how Fern gave us years of unconditional love, only for me to repay her this way. I came home and was greeted by heavy silence when I was so used to hearing paws tapping on the floor. Empty wouldn't even begin to describe it. The first night without my pup came the howlings. Echo after echo covered our surroundings like an unwelcome shroud. The canine tones varied from anger to whines. It's as if they were begging us to leave. I stayed up as sleep didn't come and gave my focus on my sleeping son. Barely a month old, and the world was already cruel to him. And just when I thought I couldn't cry anymore, that thought was enough to break me. All I wanted was for my child to grow up loved, and prayed that God would hear me. Morning strolls were never easy, since the neighborhood cats and dogs vocalized their displeasure but kept their distance. We had to pass the house of Old Lady Warren every time, and each time we did, she would give us a look of distaste as her dog yapped away. A smoke would escape her lips as she sat on her porch, while I gave my best apologetic smile and a tiny wave in the hopes of dispersing the tense atmosphere, but the scowl on her face seemed permanent. On my son's first birthday, I decided to bring food to the old woman, for it was the least I could do. I approached her property and handed her the token of my peace offering before speaking my intention. I'm so sorry for all the noises that we cause. I just don't know why animals don't like my son. Exasperation laced my voice as I felt the familiar, confusing thoughts swim in my mind. Old Lady Warren stepped closer to me as she discarded the cigar before answering. It's not your son they don't like. My eyes followed her wrinkled hand as it landed on the cross of her rosary that hanged on her neck, as she continued with, It's the thing that's following him. Hello there, friends. Before we move on to the next story, be sure to strike the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't done so already. And swing by the comments and tell me what you think the unseen creature in the last story looked like. Personally, I think it looks like a friend. Thanks for stopping by. Now on to the next story. Happy birthday! After I blew out my birthday candles, a strange man appeared. Nobody seemed to notice him except for me. He was clothed in white and shone with an unearthly light. He had the most beautiful sky blue eyes I had ever seen, a brilliant smile with pearly white teeth, and silky dove wings stretching out behind him. "Hello, Isaac," he sang. "I'm your guardian angel, Gabriel. Happy birthday." My jaw dropped. The angel winked at me. "Don't worry, I'll be here to guide you through your teenage years. We'll be the best of friends." And he was right. We did become the best of friends. For a deity from heaven, he surprisingly knew a lot about pop culture and the latest trends. We spent hours late at night chatting away. I would tell him about my day and he would listen soulfully and respond with advice. One day, he showed me a vision of me dead on the floor, my parents standing around with knives and sadistic smiles on their faces. "I know the future," he said. "Trust me." However, my hands were shaking, my face deathly pale as I executed Gabriel's plan. I got the smallest knife I found and sneaked up to my parents' room and slit their throat. Warm blood trickled downwards and stained everything crimson. I got off scot-free thanks to Gabriel, who must have used his powers to clean everything up. But guilt wore down heavily on me, like I was carrying all the sins of the world. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I tried seeing people for my problems. I tried to settle down with somebody I love. But every time, a few months later, Gabriel would convince me with visions as proof that there was something wrong with them. It was no surprise then that I died, alone and lonely, on a cold winter's day, without anyone to remember me. I woke up, though, in a room where fire and wild shadows were dancing on the wall. Mom and Dad and everyone else I loved and killed stared back at me, anger haunting their faces. Then, a voice from the heavens boomed.
"For every sin and murder you committed, it would be repaid twice as heavily on you."
"I was trying to protect myself," I sobbed. "My guardian angel Gabriel said I would die if I didn't."
"Guardian angel? Gabriel?"
said the voice blankly.
"What are you talking about?"
Realization dawned on me as the horde of victims stormed towards me, hands reaching out for my throat. The shadows parted and Gabriel's face appeared on the wall. He cracked a sinister, victorious smile. Thank you for tuning in to this week's story, Campfire Gang. Please remember to strike the like and sub buttons, and check out the author's links in the description below. If you like my content and would like to help support the channel, you can check out my Patreon, like these fireside friends. Also, your friend the Bard is now a published audiobook narrator. Follow the link in the description to get a copy of my first audiobook project. It's a great story, and it helps support the channel. Take care, friends. I look forward to meeting you again by the light of the campfire.